Welcome to Spotlight. I'm your host, Steph Chartel. This past week, the Rider Sports Corner was able to cover both of the men's basketball games versus Niagara and Siena.
On February 8th and 10th, our men's basketball team battled it out against two talented teams in the MAC, two teams that were and still are an ultimate threat to the Bronx. On Friday, over 1,700 fans packed the Alumni Gym to see the Bronx battle it out against Niagara. The home game was sold out early on in the week. Each team played a tough game, although Rider had to deal with ludicrous calls by officials. The Bronx were able to look past the calls and come out victorious for the 10th consecutive time this season, making the 4th longest winning streak in Division I. Senior Jason Thompson, who scored 16 points in the second half and obtained 14 rebounds, recognizes the fans for their great support. He said, quote, "The crowd energizes us when they get here this early, pack the place, and are really loud. We play well when the crowd is like that, and it is hard for the visiting teams," end quote. Ryan Thompson, who ranks among the MAC leaders, added 16 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. With 1.6 seconds left in the exhilarating game, junior Harris Mansell made 2 foul shots, concluding the night with an 80-76 victory over the Purple Eagles. Then on Sunday, the Bronx Zoo was swarming yet again with supporters. All were anticipating an 11th straight win against the Siena Saints. Rider's offense was looking good, making a win very close to grasp. NBA prospect Jason Thompson broke his own scoring record in this game with an impressive 26 points. In the final minutes of the game, Rider missed 3 of 5 free throws, providing a window for the Saints. Unfortunately, after a close contest, Siena took advantage of the chance Rider provided and triumphed by 3 points, a final score of 80-77. The two teams went head-to-head in Alumni Gym for a conference win, but now they are in a battle for first place in the MAC.
That's it for this week's Spotlight segment. And now for M&M Talk, here's Sean Pantelier.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'm here again. I'm Sean Pantelier with Mark and Mike in the Rider Sports Corner. Guys, I'm going to be talking to you guys about 2 things today. First being the Mitchell Report, second being Rider basketball. As far as the Mitchell Report, what kind of good has come out of the Mitchell Report being released in December of 2007?
I think the only thing that good came out of it was that it's showing that MLB is cracking down on steroids in baseball. It shows that they're taking the initiative to actually check. Now they've finally stepped up and did it. However, I think it's going to do more harm because it's going to hurt the fan base, as well as how many other athletes do you think in baseball have actually, that weren't put on the report, could have taken steroids in the past or will be in the future?
I have to think that it's actually going to do more good. I mean, now that a big name like Roger Clemens has been put out there, it might lead to a lot more of the high-name players that may or may not be using steroids. They might be more concerned about getting caught, and they might actually stop altogether.
Right, so you guys definitely think it's a good thing.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
As far as Brian McNamee and Roger Clemens are concerned with their perjury cases being this past week, who do you believe and why?
I'm going to have to go with Brian McNamee, only because after watching the variety of Clemens' interviews, he has different answers most of the time. He's never consistent. Most of the time, however, if you look at his records in the past and his improvement, there is a huge jump between, up to the 99 and then into 2003 when he was with the Yankees. You can see a big improvement in stats. As you know, in 1999, he reached his 300th win and 4,000 strikeout, which normally is when a pitcher is pretty much burning himself out, because when you set a record like that, it's pretty big. But then after that, he's still going, and that makes you question, why can't other pitchers still go? And I think that's why I think that he is taking steroids. So I'm gonna have to go with Brian McNamee.
Okay, Mike, your opinion?
I would actually also have to agree with Brian McNamee because, I mean, obviously Roger Clemens has so much more to lose in this case. I mean, if it turns out that he is using steroids and he was lying under oath all these times, he's going to lose everything. And I do think that if he is found guilty, he's going to end up losing all of his achievements and all of his awards that he won during that time.
And another thing to note on that, actually something came out today. It's been reported that President Bush is looking into possibly pardoning Roger Clemens for what has happened. So just to let that be known.
It's ridiculous.
Bush.
As far as the Hall of Fame, how do you guys see this going on with inductions happening in the next 5 years? There's going to be a lot of players who are going to be up on ballots, who are going to be maybe even being enshrined in Cooperstown. How does this go around? How's the voting going to be done? Are they going to wait on what's going to happen? Are they going to let a lot of things pass by, let them make them wait a couple years? What do you guys think is going to happen?
I would think that they would make them wait, only because I think it's, kind of ridiculous to allow someone to go into the Hall of Fame with the other guys in the Hall of Fame as of now who have done such great things for baseball when they could have been taking steroids, and half of the records that they've set or half of the great things they've done may not even be them. It could be the steroids alone. So I hope and think that they should wait on that. I also think that even if they let them go through, the fan base is going to be mad enough that the voting is going to be thrown off. So I think a lot of people may not vote for them even if they are put on the ballot because of what is going on.
Mike?
I don't think they're going to let them in at all if they find out that anyone has been using steroids. That's ridiculous to even consider putting someone that has cheated either for one season or for 10 seasons to put them into the Hall of Fame with, as Mark said, such great players who have done so much for the game of baseball without using any kind of substance to enhance their abilities or enhance their play. I don't think they should even be put on the ballot. I don't even think they should be mentioned at all.
Okay. Well then, if you guys had a vote, would you guys vote Clemens in today, knowing what you know at this exact moment? Mark?
To be honest with you, I wouldn't at this time if he was put on the ballot because, yes, he's done great things in the past. However, all the things he's done up to this point could be questionable, especially in the past couple years. You don't know if it's him again. As I said before, is it him or is it the steroids? Because I personally think he is taking steroids, and I don't think someone should be rewarded for something like that. So I would say no.
You can't do that based on a judgment call. You have to have actual proof. You have to know for a fact that he has been taking steroids. If he's been taking steroids, then I would say no. But as of right now, since he has not been caught using steroids, there's been no hard evidence. I would say yes, put him in.
But as I said, though, you can't put someone in based on the fact of what they've done in the past if you think that if you have a suspicion that they're on steroids. I mean, yes, he's done great things in the past, but up to this point, as we said, they're questioning the fact of whether some of those things are even legit. And as even you said, that they shouldn't even be inducted right now. They shouldn't even be inducted at all if they're caught. So if
they're caught, but he has not been caught yet, they're still trying to figure that out. How many other players are in the Hall of Fame right now that haven't even been considered for using steroids?
None.
So you don't think any players in the Hall of Fame right now have used steroids at all?
No, I wouldn't say so.
You're absolutely sure?
Yeah.
How do you know that for a fact?
Didn't you just say though that if you're going to if they were under suspicion of being caught, don't you think that they shouldn't be allowed in at all? And also, if they wait on it, then they have the chance to see if he actually is taking steroids. Now, I agree with you that if they wait it out and they find out that he isn't, then yes, he should be put in the Hall of Fame because of his records. I mean, he has 7 Cy Youngs, I believe. So, yeah. I mean, if they waited out and they found out that he wasn't taking steroids, then yes, I agree with you. However, at this point in time, if the vote was right now, I would say no because he's under question.
Okay, that's your opinion.
Okay, guys. Next question is about Rider basketball. We had the big games this weekend, as you both know. What did you guys think about the game on Friday against Niagara and Sunday against Siena?
I loved both games because it was easy for the fan base to get into it. I think that most of the players as a whole played pretty decently, except on Sunday it seemed like Rider started off on a slow pace, which could have hurt them. But overall, I love both games. I went to both of them, and it just keeps the fans involved, and I think they were both really good games.
Okay, Mike, your turn.
I have to agree with Mark. They were both fantastic games, especially the Niagara game. It was down to the last minute, and I loved it. The thing that I mentioned last week about team chemistry being so strong, I think that's why we ended up winning the game against Niagara and where we kind of lost against Siena, because I thought as a unit we played so well against Niagara. But then Siena, it seemed like it was like more so 1 or 2 players that really stepped up, and it really wasn't a team effort.
Completely understandable. On Friday's game, the big thing was that a lot of fans were complaining about the officiating. Mm-hmm. Did you guys see any issues with that as far as Friday's game? Because I know that was a big thing in NCAA basketball this whole week.
Yeah, I definitely think the officiating Friday was very poor. One play I'd like to point out is when Jason Thompson was under the basket, and from what I remember, he was pretty much pulled down from behind, and yet the foul was called on Jason, which I don't understand. I don't know how that could be a foul on him. There were a couple other fouls that were very questionable, but I think overall the officiating was very poor on Friday. Sunday stepped up. They were a lot better on Sunday. It was evenly matched calls on both sides, but again, if you look at Friday, most of the calls that in particular one of the refs made was mostly for Niagara, in favor of Niagara, not for us. So I definitely think it was very slanted.
I mean, I have to agree. I mean, anyone that was at the game could have easily seen that the officiating was a little bit towards Niagara, but I mean, it was a great effort for the team themselves to, just let the officiating go whichever way they decided to go, and they played through it, and it turns out that they came out on top, despite what any other officials tried to do.
Okay, one of those players that came through was definitely Jason Thompson. How do you guys feel about his games, Mark?
I'm going to have to say, to start with Friday, I think he had a terrific game. He had a good start. I mean, he was only 8 for 17 from the field, but those 8 shots were very critical, especially for that 1-3. That was a very big momentum switch that got the team going. He did a good job getting the rebounds. And he's known in the country for his rebounding, so that's no question. But I definitely think, he always plays his heart out, even if he has a rough game. He's always passing the ball out, giving guys opportunities. So I definitely think on Friday he played pretty well. And on Sunday, he was a little slow. He was only 9 for 20 from the field, but again, he tries to make plays when he can, and Siena was a lot quicker, so he didn't have a chance to sit under the basket. They had a quicker offense, quicker paced team, so he had to play back a little bit, so he's really not used to that as much. He's normally under the basket, but I definitely think overall he played pretty good for the most part, and his free throws he's probably one of the best free throw shooters on the team, so I'm going to have to say he did pretty well.
Yeah, you really can't say anything bad about the guy. He had fantastic stats in both games. I think he had a little bit better game against Siena, actually. I think he had 26 points and 24 rebounds. And I believe the 24 rebounds was a Rider record. The previous record, 21 rebounds, he actually set against Siena like 8 days before that game. So, I mean, he's just breaking his own records at this point.
That's great. Any other players stand out to you over this past weekend?
I'm going to have to say Ryan Thompson definitely stood out to me. I think he played very well. I mean, he was 6 for 7 from the field against Siena, and I think you can't go wrong with that. He makes the critical shots when you ask him to, and they're from all over the court. I mean, he can hit the 3 if you need him to, and he's great with the jump shot. And I also don't think he played that bad against Niagara either, because it's tough to play against a team like that with a guy like Sharon Fisher. You always have to look where he is. You always have to be careful where you are when you're shooting. You have to take the shots you can make, and he did his best to do that, and I definitely think he was a playmaker.
Okay, so you're going with the brothers. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Ryan Thompson either, but I actually think Mike Ringgold, he had a great game against Niagara. A little bit slower against Siena, but I think he had a fantastic game against Niagara. He really helped us out a lot when we were down. He kind of picked us up and got us back into the game.
Okay, and one last question for you guys. What do you guys think Rider should do about the situation of it being so crowded in Alumni Gym, both on Friday and even more so on Sunday with the women's game earlier?
I definitely think they have to start working on expanding that stadium a little bit. I mean, it's very small, and admissions is going up percent by percent each year, and you have to take advantage of that by giving all students a chance to see the game. I mean, you can't sell out right away. I mean, I think a lot of the kids should take advantage of this great opportunity to see a great team play. I think that they definitely should expand. I know they talked about it in the Trentonian a couple weeks ago on expanding the stadium, but they talk about that all the time. I think they really need to step up and actually do that, because I think it would really benefit this campus as a whole and actually allow the whole campus to support the team instead of the first few that get the tickets.
Okay, Mike?
Don't let visitors in. No one from the other team. Just let all Rider students and faculty.
Very simple on your side of the story then. Okay, this has been the Rider Sports Corner with Mark and Mike. I now send it off to Brian Persons with Persons People.
Thank you, Sean. Welcome to Persons People. I'm your host, Brian Persons. Today we have Alex D'Amico here with us, varsity tennis player. Alex, how are you doing?
Good, thank you.
And so, when did you start officially playing tennis as a child?
Well, I first picked up the game, besides for like gym class and stuff, I picked it up in the summer before my freshman year of high school. My brother got me into
really
it.
late then.
Yeah, I was a late bloomer. My brother, who was on the varsity high school team, got me into it. They needed players, and then I started playing as a freshman and was right into the varsity team from there.
Wow, did you have any like really memorable matches back in high school that really like caught a scout's eye from Rider, or like was there anything that you thought personally that was like your best match in high school?
Well, one of my my favorite matches, and I think my best match in high school, was actually at doubles in my senior year in the county tournament, where I, for a variety of reasons with injuries, where I had to play up in the lineup, I had never previously won a county tournament match. And in my senior year, we finally had it all set up. We had a good seed, we had good circumstances, and had gotten injured the week before, and it hurt to push off on my heel for my serve. So I didn't warm up my serve before the match, and I just said, okay, I have to try to make in as many serves as I could. Don't take second serves. Don't take any more than I need. And it was the best game I've ever played.
How many serves did you actually get in that match?
Probably about 90%, which is really high.
Yeah, that's an excellent percentage.
Usually, like 70% in for first serve is pretty good. I probably made over 90% that day just because I knew I didn't have extra serves to waste, because each one hurt my ankle a little bit more.
Okay. And that match really solidified yourself for going to college, or
it just made me think that I could compete, that I could win big matches. We advanced in the tournament. We competed with the team that went on to win. And then we actually won another match later in the tournament and got a pretty decent. We got a ribbon for our performance that day. We put on a pretty good performance, so it felt good, and it made me feel like I could hang with the bigger teams and be on a college team. We eventually ended up getting second team all conference, which again made me feel like I could
That's a huge
compete.
accomplishment. Was that your senior year?
Yep, that was all senior year.
Excellent. That's, of course, you were on varsity then.
Right.
And it just transitioned right into college?
Yep. Well, I contacted Coach Ed Torres. I had seen that there was a tennis team here and that they had a lot of freshmen, and I thought, well, I'm a freshman. I played in high school. Let me see if I can try out for the team. And one thing led to another, and then I was on there as a freshman.
Oh, did you walk on, or did you
I
get
did walk
scouted?
on.
Okay.
I did not get scouted. I
Oh,
walked
wow.
on.
Well,
and-
excellent.
Yep.
Okay, so what is your overall team role for the Rider tennis team then?
I'm there for depth. I am slightly outside the rotation, maybe two people outside the rotation or so. If ever there were a couple of injuries or a couple of unforeseen circumstances that people couldn't play, I would be there to step in and fill in that role. I play a little bit of singles and a little bit of doubles, so I can go either way. And for practices, it makes it very useful to have a pretty big team so that we can rotate players in. There are different styles of tennis players, and it's good to have players of different styles who you can practice against.
What kind of style do you bring? Are you a baseline? Are you just a serve guy, or what kind of style do you have?
I consider myself to be, for my level, a pretty all-around player. I like to attack the backhand a little bit, which on a lot of players is the weaker side of the two. And then when I see an opening, I like to come in the net to try to put the point away right there. I don't like to let my opponent linger around in a point any longer than necessary. So I try to play an all-court attacking style of game.
Okay, so you don't try to like use any lob shots, or you try to just like get into the net and try to like kill it at the net then if it's like a long point?
Right. I try to cut the throat right when I get the opportunity.
Excellent, I like that. So what would you describe yourself, like what tennis player would you describe yourself as in the professional ATP?
Maybe well, I don't know if I would describe myself as him, but I like Ivo Karlovic. He's a very tall player who knows how to come up to net, and he knows how to volley and put things away. He's, like I say, he's very tall, but as soon as he sees an opportunity, even a little bit of weakness in his opponent, in maybe their positioning, where they are on court, the way their body is turned, if they hit a slightly less powerful shot, he knows maybe they were off balance, he'll come in the net and he'll put it away. So I try to play that type of thing, to be very keen on my opponent's body language and their shots and try to make reads off of that.
Wonderful. So bring all that into like the aspect. You're more of a depth player and everything. How do you see you're helping that up the team as a depth player, getting the team farther into like developing a better team for the future? Do you see yourself as more of that type of role?
Yeah, because the practice is where great players are made. It doesn't happen in games. It happens by practice, hard work, and like I like to believe that luck isn't just something that happens. It's something that is made as a habit of good practice techniques. So by working hard, setting a good example in practice, and working with my teammates on different shots and everything, that helps the team atmosphere and it helps us all get better, myself and my teammates.
And so what is the overall likelihood of you guys doing well in the MAC championships this spring?
Well, we have a very young team still. Last year, as I indicated earlier, we were a very young team with mostly freshmen. Now my grade has gone up to sophomores, and we have another relatively large freshman class coming in. So we're still very young, but my sophomore class now, we have a bit more experience. We've been to MACs once before, and we've had a much better performance already this year, which indicates that we might be able to compete in the MACs.
Well, Alex, I can't wait to hear from you guys after the MAC championships. So hopefully you guys make some noise there and bring home a championship to the Rider University. That's it for Persons People this week. Thank you, Alex, for showing up. It's been great. See you guys next week.